I would love to have Ms. Heather Stone from Energy and Infrastructure Program Coordinator for New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions come up.
Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? Are we awake? Got coffee? Got snacks? Good to go? Okay, good. I just want to say thank you for having me here today. I am Heather Stone. I am with Department of Workforce Solutions. I am the Energy and Infrastructure Program Coordinator, which is a really long title for saying that what we're trying to do is be in communication with employers in New Mexico to find out what you need to grow your workforce and to sustain your workforce. I wanted to ask, did any of you get to see the Be Proud truck that was here on Monday? Raise hands. Okay. Not very many, but that's okay. It was kind of off in the middle of nowhere, but that's the only place they could park it. So for the grant students, it's actually coming to your school next week. So just a little bit of background on that. Actually, there's a lot of programs that we have, but that particular one has 12 VR setups for students to learn about different trades without actually having to go sit in a semi-truck and find out how it is to drive it. They get to pretend and drive it. There's lots of different things on there as well. Electricians, carpenters, plumbing, all kinds of stuff. But it's really great, and it goes to all the schools in New Mexico to help, like what we were talking about before, get the students involved and let them know that there are career pathways that don't necessarily mean a four-year college education or even going to a trade school. They can do on-the-job training. So I'm going to begin. Okay, so I'm going to go over some statistics really quick because that's part of Workforce Solutions is actually a big group. We don't just do the unemployment stuff. We do labor and statistics. We do lots of wraparound services. But this is just to let you know the job growth from July 2024 to July 2025. And as you can see, non-farm is pretty big, and then education and health services, and then natural resources and mining. This is average annual salary in energy sectors, all occupations. As you can see, the big blue line is what we're talking about today. It says 121,550, and then the other power and energy sectors are down there as well. And then this one is trades and labor, not just the engineers and the PhDs. This is the welders and everybody else that we were talking about before. So, has anybody heard of Executive Order 2024-152? You can all put down your hands. It's okay. I understand. Actually, when I'm going to show you this report. It's not in the slide deck, but and I can give you. You can just go to the DWS website, or you can put in this name, and this is the accumulation of what that executive order did. So the governor said, hey, you 13 state agencies, stop siloing yourself, and you need to get together and figure out how we can make energy and climate ready and infrastructure jobs a priority in New Mexico. So this is our report that just came out. We were tasked to get 2,000 job seekers trained by the end of 2026, and we've already met that goal. So we're planning to double it. And that's through lots of different programs, not just Be Proud, there's JTIP, there's CTE, there's lots of different things. Oops. So one way that we're doing this is through our sector strategies. Last year with the Energy Symposium and Scott, I forget the name of your conference. What's yours? Energy Policy Symposium and the New Mexico Energy Initiatives, I think it was. Anyways, so the whole point of that was to talk to employers in New Mexico and find out what you really need. Do you need more support for on-the-job training? Do you need stipends? Do you need lots of different things that you could need. But that's for us to ask you questions and find out, so we don't tell you what you need, you tell us what you need. I'd like for all of you to please get out your phones. I know They're probably hidden, but it's okay. I'd like for you to scan this QR code if you can. If you can't, I have it, and you can come with me later. This is the survey I was telling you about. It's really quick. It's less than 5 minutes. It's so that we can get together and go back to our either non-credential programs like associations and unions, or like Santa Fe Community College, CNM, UNM, New Mexico Tech, and say, hey, these employers in the energy sector say that they need more bachelor's degrees, or they need more welders, or they need more CDL drivers, and to create those programs to get them back out and into the workforce. Another question I wanted to ask is, have any of you heard of the Industrial Credential Pipeline Program that we did with NMDOT and CNM? It's okay if you hadn't. It was a news release, but it wasn't top news. Anyways, that is our gold standard of what we want to do and how we want to move forward so that our workforce in New Mexico is strong and able to sustain itself here and stay here. NMDOT was considered the employer, regardless of the government entity of it, and they needed flagger and road maintenance workers in the rural areas of the state, not the central region. And as we know, rural areas are sometimes not taken care of like they should, and they're forgotten about. So anyways, they went around in the Be Pro, Be Proud truck, got 16 kids that had graduated. They came to Albuquerque. They stayed in the dorms at UNM. They took 10 weeks of classes. Their room and board was paid, and they were paid $16.50 an hour to take these classes. They had a preliminary job offer with NMDOT, and as soon as they finished all their classes and passed their drug test and everything, they left with a CDL license, not a certificate. They got OSHA 10 certificate, a road maintenance certificate, flagger certificate, and then they went back home. They went to Grants, they went to Springer, they went to Tularosa, they went back home and had a job with NMDOT right then and there. That's great benefits, pension, all of that, but also starting that young, they could be in that state job for 20 years, retire, and then start their own business or give back to the community. That was a very easy but hard thing to do because we handled coordinating all the kids, getting them their stipends, getting them their PPE, making sure they were at their classes. But it was worth it. And that's what we want to do. That was specific to infrastructure, but we can do that with your businesses as well in energy. We need to get the kids before high school. We need to let them know that there are opportunities in New Mexico and that businesses will be coming to New Mexico and there will be sustainable jobs for them in the future. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments? So our DWS website has a lot of information on this. This report actually has a lot of great information about all the other pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships, registered apprenticeships that are available in New Mexico. If you have any more questions or if you, sure, go ahead. I think it is 4.5. We have more jobs available than people, let me rephrase that. There are jobs available and the seekers are not taking those jobs. So we have unemployed people and more jobs available than unemployed people right now. New Mexico's population has decreased in the last census. It has gone down, and we need to make our state something that's sustainable for us, like Nolan said, our communities, but also for our futures. Anything else? Does anybody know why that picture is in the dark? Does anybody know what time of day that balloon picture was taken? Anybody? 4 a.m., correct. It is not at night. That is a picture of Dawn Patrol here in Albuquerque. We usually have, it's a smaller room and there's more questions and answer questions, but if you guys have any other questions, I'll be here for the rest of the day, and we really appreciate the students and your work. You guys are our future. We want you to stay here. We want to make it so that you want to stay here and have your families and keep New Mexico going. Awesome. Okay, so here's some group questions, like I mentioned. So the first question is, what are the most significant gaps in qualifications among your applicants and new hires in your field? Is it that they need certifications? Is it that they need to have soft skills, be able to have interviews and talk to you, dress appropriately, show up on time, pass drug tests? Does anybody want to answer this question or have comments on that first question?
Daria from Grants Energy. So we currently have one job posting for a technical skill, and we have 2 more coming up the pipe. And ideally, we would hire folks in Grants, Milan, San Mateo area because we're trying to build a local workforce. What we're finding with some of the first job postings that we put out there is just a lack of qualified applicants that are from the area, and we're going to unfortunately be forced to essentially staff up a team that hopefully is local to at least New Mexico, and then begin to build the pipeline for folks over the long term to be trained locally from starting with the high school and create a STEM program, and then with the technical colleges create a pathway. And we are basically acknowledging the same path we had in Australia. They were a little more fortunate where they had Adelaide, which is where our office is. They have a pretty large ecosystem of natural resource development. And us being kind of one of the first ones out the gate is we understand we're going to have to help rebuild a nascent industry. And so we realize we're going to try to bring in our most skilled folks that are familiar with running these operations to train up a new workforce until they're organically able to continue training and hire people locally. So we know we're going to have a challenge. We're starting really early on. We're trying to put in place a core workforce. And I think what it's looking like, and be curious if other people have perspectives on this, but what it's looking like is we're going to have to staff the senior positions with skilled workforce that is either origin outside of Grants, New Mexico locally, or maybe even outside of the state, and have to kind of from a grassroots develop the skill set of the local folks from scratch. But curious if anyone else has perspective on that, or maybe a success story on how that worked out.
Thank you. So kind of to tag on that, and then yes, we'd like some comments. That is a perfect example of the Industrial Credential Pipeline Program. Having them as the employer, DWS, whether it's the local community college there or even back in Albuquerque, all of you need people now, usually, but like the kids were saying, we have to be able to staff them going forward. So what's your need for employers in 5 years, in 10 years? And if you aren't cultivating your local population, then that's what's gonna happen. I did talk to somebody at Economic Development yesterday, and he was letting us know that there's a lot of companies that want to come into New Mexico, and they do get tax credits to hire New Mexico employees. They get a little bit less if they can't. But if we don't have the workforce ready for them to hire, what are we going to do? Where are they going to go? They're not going to stay here. So does anybody have any other comments or questions?
Loud enough. People tell me I talk too much. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. I'm a CTE teacher in Grants County Schools. Joel's my son. My oldest son actually graduated from Grants High School. He was in the welding program. He went on to Tulsa Welding School. He accelerated through because Grants' welding program is, they come looking for us. We have the best welders. It's incredible. Most people over there, it takes a year and a half. The average Grants High School resident takes only 7 months to get their associate's degree in welding and in science. When he came back into the Grants area, and he's FFA, he's always been in competitions, he's a 4-H, he's no stranger to conversations. He has his OSHA skills, he went to take his own MSHA training, he's paying so that he himself can go on and be a welding inspector. He came back into the Grants area and applied at the few big companies we had, didn't even get a reply call.
Wow.
So in my perspective, there are kids out there that absolutely have the skills. Not only do they have the hardworking skills, we build them to have soft skills in. They're ready to do the entire job all the way around. And they're there, they're ready to work. He goes to work every morning, he gets up at 6 o'clock, He has 4 friends that they graduated with him, also accelerated through the Tulsa Welding School. They actually travel into Albuquerque to get jobs. So they do that as young men at 20 years old to pursue their futures. So I think it's a communication thing. I think we as a school need to talk with this amazing company over here and help them fill those voids. Because my son's not a first-time welder, right? He's third generation. That's all we've done. My husband's a welder. I mean, he was at the coal mine forever. He was a lead out there. We have it here in Grants. I think what we need to do is have these conversations with these amazing companies coming in and say, here's our skills and here's how we contact those people that have those skills. Because they're not necessarily on social media. They're not necessarily going to go to the website. You know what I mean? Those skills that you're looking for in those skilled trades, that's where you put the signs up and say, we are hiring. And those kids that are on there, those 20-year-olds that are working 2 jobs and are willing to put in the time, they're going to pull up to you guys. They're going to apply. They want to be part of your progress, I promise you. So I think it's conversations.
I agree. Totally agree. Another thing I wanted to bring up, heck yeah. So two points to that. A lot of, it makes me sad that he didn't get a call back. So then it makes me think, well, maybe why? Is it, right. Well, and AI's looking through them, not a person. So another thing, has anybody heard of the America's Job Centers in New Mexico? They used to be called the Workforce Connection. So there's one in Gallup. I don't think there's one in Grants, but I can't remember. But that is a huge resource that is underutilized by employers. Most people think that's where you go to start a resume or apply for jobs, but the employers need to come in and have a job fair. Grants Energy guy, hi. We can have a job fair for you at America's Job Center, and you can try to help build that pipeline and help build that program up for you guys. Please look at our website. Please look at the America Job Centers. There's lots and lots of apprenticeship programs. There's lots of ways to help, even not as a child. You don't have to be a high school, recent graduate to get an apprenticeship job. Does anybody have any other comments on that first question? Sure, go ahead.
All right, can you hear me? All right, good morning, everybody. Of course, my son is Nolan, and he's a welder. His grandfather and his great-grandfather were welders before him. They worked at the Santa Fe Railroad Company. It was coming through their reservation, so they jumped on that. And so my father has passed on. I'm not a welder because I hate the way it smelled. And I was tired of being a helper and getting yelled at, right? So my son, when my father had passed away, it's been about 3 years now. My son is out there cleaning out his shop and taking that trade in, and so all that's left for him to take advantage of. But just to get back, before coming to the Grants County School District, I used to work for the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act for tribal communities. And, I feel for the students, that 20-year-olds that don't get the call back. Mm-hmm. But companies also need to look for, yes, you're senior, you want the workforce now, but I'd rather take that risk of hiring a 20-year-old versus a person that's in 45 that's going to lean on the shovel and BS for the first 2 hours, 3 hours of work. That's the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to take that risk because that is the future of your company. Mm-hmm. That 20-year-old could be there for another 20 years. And to build and model these young individuals to become what you want them to be, or how to get your company there. That's the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't make that call or make that risk of these children, then sometimes it goes back and it's like, well, maybe I'm not worth it. And they give up. Right. It's a generation where they give up easily. It's not our generation where if you're 50 and above, that we stick to the grind, we keep grinding out. Some of the youth that I worked with in the past give up easily. Mm-hmm. And they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs because they feel like they're not wanted or needed in the society or in the workforce. That's where I come from. Because all these individuals, all these youth that are going out and getting an education, we're told, go get your education, come back and help your community. But if the jobs ain't there, or if their jobs ain't offered to them, then why should they come back and help our communities thrive, right? So that's, as companies, if you're in here, please look beyond the application, look beyond the paperwork. Bring the individual in. Don't rely on AI to do your interviews. It's a one-on-one contact, and you get to know the individual up front. In the first 5 minutes, you can tell whether he's going to be worth the risk or not, he or she. So please, take advantage of these people that are here, the young individuals, because they're our future, no matter what we do. We're not going to live forever. And within 20, 30 years, 10, 20 years that they talked about, you know, I think it's worth that risk and worth that investment in the companies that are coming to New Mexico. You know, if you want to come to New Mexico, invest in New Mexico residents. And like, it's going to take 3-4 years. As a company, how are you going to invest in our school system to provide those pathways? What do you need for these high school students to come out with? Are you going to invest in our schools? Is there donations to the schools to better offer? Grants of Will County is not a big district. You know, they're not big schools. We don't, yes, back in the 70s and 80s, when I was in high school in the 80s and 90s, Grants was thriving. Now you go back to Grants, it's a ghost town. All the business that were there before are now homeless shelters or people that are just on the streets taking advantage of them. So how are you as a company going to help us build the city of Grants, the surrounding communities, to get it where it once was back in the 70s and 80s when it was thriving? You know, when I graduated high school, we had a population of 300 students that graduated. Now it's probably, what, 130, 120?
Wow.
120. And that's only 30 years ago when I graduated. You know, so it hurts. So please, companies, you come in to communities, invest in the local community people, and give them a chance. That's all they want. All they want is a chance at life. Everybody does, right? I joined the Marine Corps because there was nobody hiring at that time in '93. Joined 8 years, and my father always said, no matter where you go, son, home will always be home. And the same people that are doing what they're doing now are doing the same thing when you get back. And sure enough.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Another thing I want to bring up is back to that industrial credential pipeline program. I talked with the NMDOT person who was in charge of that on that side, and they said he went and asked, so let me back that up. The supervisors out in the field were not too keen about hiring the new kids straight off, you know, the truck, literally off the Be Pro, Be Proud truck. But once they went back to the communities and once they went to those field offices, every supervisor in the state of New Mexico who got one of those industrial ICP program guys said that they're the best workers that they've hired in years because they were already ready to go. They didn't have to stand around and lean on a shovel and figure out what was going on. And when they came in, it was right in the wintertime. So they were out ready to go, ready to start salting roads and get out there and start working. He said that they've been some of the best employees that they've ever hired. So it works. You just have to come and talk to us. Go to the America's Job Centers, go to our website, contact me, whatever you want to do that we need to talk, we need to communicate, and you guys can't give up. We got to tell the kids, call. He didn't get a call, go stand in front of his door. Kids, I mean, even now I've gotten that I don't like to call people because I've gotten so used to texting, but you know, like she said, we didn't have those little computers in our hands like we do now. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate you being here. We really truly believe that this industry is going to be, I personally think, going to save us because like they said, the Permian Basin is great. It makes a lot of money for us, but it's not going to be there forever. Another thing I want to bring up is that vote in your local elections. Get on the school board. Get on your local workforce development boards. There's lots of places that need your help and where your voices can be counted and heard. So, thanks.